And we are live.
Yay!
Musty Wargamers Season 8, Episode 9, it looks like.
Welcome to the Musty Wargamers Show. All three of us are here tonight.
Minus Tim.
We're
a Tim down.
Yeah, Tim's in recovery right now. I guess he's not feeling great. And so, yeah, that happens sometimes.
Yeah, we gave him an excused absence.
Yeah. Hopefully he feels better.
Yeah, hope you feel better, Tim.
Yeah. And so, so basically, why don't we just do our normal go around of what people are up to, and why don't we just I'll do the clockwise thing. Rusty, what is the update looking like? Oh, we got Spitty in the house.
Yeah,
hey,
I told him.
Hey.
I gave him a heads up. We'd be doing a show at 9 if he had a chance to pop by. Hey, Mark.
Long time no see, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna start my Heineken now while Rusty's getting started here.
Okay. I'll go as fast as I can.
You can take as long as you want. I'm starting.
Well, okay. There hasn't been any gaming going on around here, unless you count Cribbage Wars as games.
Okay,
Sure. That counts.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever heard of Cribbage Wars.
I haven't. I heard of cribbage.
Yeah.
Cribbage War is taking a normal cribbage board, and then they have a whole bunch of more pegs and stuff on it.
Okay.
And normally you can do a cribbage game in half an hour to 45 minutes, roughly, depending on how fast you play. Cribbage War the last game we played was about an hour and a half.
Okay.
So it's big. It's got a big board on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
My wife and I play. We've been playing that a bit, but
Cribbage for people who mean business.
yes, and it has all kinds of weird stuff that goes with it. But so yeah, that's the only gaming I've been up to. I've been printing and painting and all that fun stuff. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what are you working on?
Let's see. The last time we had to show, this guy was being worked on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Callus Typhon.
Nice.
Look at that.
Yeah,
And he comes off his pedestal, right? So you can game with him, too.
Take the little thing off the back. I need to drill a hole and put like a magnet and stuff on it so it stays.
Yeah.
And then it comes off his base. So his little display stand.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out well.
Yeah. So you got that. So he's standing on a sewer grate. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And then I finished I was working on the Grave Wardens. So these are Forge World models. We got 10 Grave Wardens.
All right.
Finished all them. So basically, they're the Terminators for the Death Guard for 30K.
Right.
Okay.
And I have that. So that's been working on. And then I was just showing Palmer off camera. I've been working on the Death Shrouds. These are Forge World models. They're
Nice.
more Terminators for the game. The other ones are based on the Cataphracti, and these are more like the modern Terminators.
Okay.
They're the bodyguards for Mortarion and Typhus. So, got 10 of those, but I was just telling Palmer's that these guys are driving me nuts because, like, when I first opened up the package, the Forge World package that they came in, it's like, as you can see, he's missing his scythe. It broke off.
Yeah.
I don't know where it went to. It was just yesterday it was here. Now today I can't find it.
Likely under the bottom of the leg of your chair in 2 pieces.
Most likely. I probably rolled over it like 3-4 times.
That's usually the case when I can't find something.
And let's see, where's that one? I was just showing you this side. Where Well, I think this is it. I 3D printed because one of them just busted up pretty badly.
Mhm.
So these things are so thin. You can see how they just
Oh,
move.
wow. Yeah. It wants to break.
Yeah, it wants to break. So I've 3D printed, found a scythe that on Colts 3D, and I got it for free, and I printed one off. Now I got to print another one.
I never used this kind of resin, Rusty, but some people I know, there's this resin now that I guess it's been out for a while that's kind of bendy.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's good for those, I think, because from what they were saying, but not for that particular model, but just
I was
general.
looking at getting some that's really bendy and then mixing it 50-50 with the resin I have.
Uh-huh.
And that will give it some flexibility, but rigid, and make it also rigid. So,
Do they call it Vigilance or something? Because there's also resin.
Yeah, Vigilance is the name.
Is that the name of it?
Yes.
Okay, that's expensive too, probably. I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
it was like $40 for a kilogram.
Yeah, that's expensive.
And they suggested you can buy it, but just mix them in with the little bit that you want, and then it gives some of the characteristics of the flexibility, but also with the characteristics of the other resin you mix it with. So.
Nice.
Cool, yeah.
So I have that one, and also I'm working on the Tech Marine for the Death Guard. So I got one of those. And then this is the guy I've been working on.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Primarch, yeah.
Yeah, that's the Primarch. So he's like, you can bear him. It's like,
Yeah, he's gigantic.
yeah, he's big. This is the Lionel Johnson.
Right.
And he comes with his dioramic base too.
It's kind of
Oh,
cool
nice.
when you've read the books to kind of see the miniatures. that come
Yeah.
out.
In the books, you hear about how the Primarchs are big, hulking comparatively. It's like this Terminator, he's about 8-9 foot tall
Yeah.
in the game.
You'd imagine the other guy next to him.
So it gives you an idea of how big these guys are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then you have your standard human. Like this would be standard human comparatively.
Yeah, wow.
So there's like, they were little itty bitty guys comparatively. A 6 foot human versus an 8 foot human. You know, it'd be like walking around the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
And so I got him, and I've been working on this guy. Let's see. So I've been kind of doing project between each other. So I got Mortarian.
Okay.
Right.
He's the
Primarch
Primarch
of the Death Guard.
for the Death Guard with his I got his dioramic base done. His little dioramic base is a lot smaller than the Lion's. It's the same size as Typhon. So it's not anything. But it's got lots of brass on it. So brass pipes and stuff with lots of corrosion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Dan might like these.
Yeah, what do you got?
I've been printing off cobblestone roads.
Oh, no way.
And you're going to see, here's a stack of 5 of them. See how thick that is?
Oh, wow.
They're like
That's
wafer
cool.
thin. They're like little wafers.
Oh, my gosh.
So when you sit them on the table, it looks like they're actually in the ground. So they're that thin.
Are they made to like hook together, or you just lay them next to each other?
So I just kind of lay them next to you.
Okay, I couldn't tell in the end if it puzzle pieced
it
together.
sort of blends together in some way.
Yeah.
So there's multiple different versions. Here, some of these, they have dirt on them. This is supposed to be like a T, crossroad T.
Oh, cool.
And then here's another one. There's like 5 of these different kinds.
So they're pretty square, or do you have any warpage?
They're pretty flat. They come out a little bit warped, and I just lay them on the table before I cure them.
Okay, and
I can set something on them and and they kind of flatten out, and
then once they're hard, yeah.
then I cure
Because
them.
they look really straight, and they're amazingly thin.
Yeah, they were thin. You could probably break them real easy if you wanted to, but
Yeah, right.
So-
Oh, wow. Those look nice. They look like definitely fantasy. I mean, it could be anything, but
yeah, they could be anything. So this one doesn't have any dirt. I plan on doing a few more of these.
okay.
I do have 3 more. I got 1 more here. This one. This is supposed to be a curve.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
A little bit of curve to it. So I'm going to do probably 2-3 more of these curved ones.
Okay.
And this was supposed to be a curve, but somebody hit the power pole down the street, and it was like 45 minutes short of being completed. And you can see it's got a nice little like straight. But hey, it's terrain. I don't care.
That's fine. Yeah.
It works good. So I'm going to finish these tonight. And I have 3 more. Where did they go? I got 3 more that are in the wings. I have to prime yet. And I have some wagons and carts and a well and some other stuff that drop terrain that will go with the city.
Oh, yeah. With your ruined city you've been working on.
Yeah. So they came with this set. This was a street set. It came with carts and stuff too. So.
Wow. Okay, the more stuff you guys keep showing, it's getting like super tempting.
Yeah.
3D printing.
It get a little addictive. It's like, but my plan is that eventually I'd be able to fill out my table with the cityscape.
Mm-hmm.
And behind you can see my Lord of the Rings miniatures.
Yep.
So as soon as I get done painting these last bit of models I showed you tonight, I'm going to start doing Lord of the Rings stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's my update. And drink of the night is Glenmorangie.
Nice.
Never heard of
it. Never seen that here before.
Nope, not on this show.
I'd say it's my one of my favorite scotch. Yeah.
Cool. I don't know if I've actually ever had scotch.
Well, have you ever had Irish whiskey?
Yeah. Teeling and Jameson are the 2 that I'll have.
I don't find it similar. You find it similar, Rusty?
It depends on if you get that quality stuff.
See, I actually, I don't know. I don't find that, I like, you're going to find that actually, you'll be interested in what I'm actually doing tonight later. For my update, I'll mention it. But I actually find that I really like the flavor of Irish whiskey. And this is not to say that it's better, but I find that Scotch usually is a little more complex in its flavors and it has more variety in it. And I find I like Canadian whiskey and I like Irish whiskey for different reasons than Scotch. Okay. But yeah, the first time I had Scotch, I think I've said this a million times on this show. The first time I had Scotch was Glenfiddich 12. And I was like, I don't know what all the fuss is about. Like the first time I tasted it neat, I was like, this ain't that great. Like, and I just didn't really like it that much. And so I went into a place and there was a guy working in the place. And I didn't realize that he was a Dewar's rep like that. I thought he was a guy that worked there. But I just said to him, I don't really know. I thought there must be something to Scotch. We've got a number of people joined, by the way. And Josh came in. I just wanted, and so we got Mel, Clyde, Josh, Smitty. Hey, everybody. And so I went into this place and I just said, I think there must be something to this that I'm not getting, because all these people, like this, but I just have never had something. The time I had it tasted awful. And, and so the guy says to me, why don't you try this? And he had Stronach, which was a premium Dewar's brand that they were putting out, and they just recently put it out, and I tried it and I really liked it. It was really smooth. It tasted really good. And then from there, that was it. And then after drinking Scotch for years, I can now drink the 12 Glenfiddich and like it. It just after kind of trying, many different kinds of scotch and having it for years, I can recognize for what it is. But when that's all I had, like in the first time I had it, I did not like it. I wouldn't recommend getting that one or, like a lower shelf one just first to try, personally. But
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
If you've seen, I have had Redbreast on here before.
Yeah, remember that.
You get into the higher end Irish whiskeys, you start getting more flavors and stuff like that.
Higher end? What are you knocking on Jameson now? Whoa.
Nothing wrong with Jameson.
I'm just teasing. I don't know much about it. I just like that one.
How about your update there, Farmer Dan?
Oh yeah. I always like to try something new. Nope. So I'm working on 15 mil ACW Confederates. Making good progress though in the last 2 weeks. I've got the starter pack comes with 8 regiments. I have got 6 done, and I'm working on the 7th here. So I would say in 2 weeks I'll be finishing up. I could have the 8th one done or finishing it up, and then
that's great.
Then I'm just on to the handful of cannons. I think there's 4, 5, 6. So there's 8 cannons, and then I think there's like 18 mounted cavalry and 24 dismounted, and then a couple generals. And I've got the starter army painted
for the Confederates.
For the Confederates, I'm really happy with how it's going. I'm still really enjoying it. I don't have any reservations with how I, picking the scale, picking the manufacturer, picking the basing style. I'm just really happy with how that's all going. So that's been it. And then the other exciting thing, if Smitty M14 is still here, we're getting together this Sunday for a game of Bolt Action.
Nice. 3rd edition.
Yeah, first game of 3rd edition for both of us. First time on my Soviet Stalingrad table. I've got it set up here, and so barring something that happens on one of our ends or some weather or something, we should be getting our toes finally dipped in. I am so excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just be glad the weather they hit yesterday didn't.
Yeah, and then it sounds a little sketchy here even tomorrow for a couple hours, and then potentially Saturday. But Sunday looks good. So hopefully on his end things work out and the weather cooperates. Otherwise we'll have to do it another time. But this will be the first time that him and I have gotten together. I don't know, Mark, since probably sometime. I don't know I can't remember if we got together last summer or not, but otherwise it's always kind of February. We had to always get together because March I used to start lambing, getting baby lambs and then calving. And so then that was the end of it till fall. And so it might have been that far back, but either way, yeah. So I'm super excited about that. And
nice.
Did you get all your sheep?
Yeah, the sheep are gone. Okay. I still got a few cows left. Yeah, and with the weather being super good, I've been getting a lot of farm stuff done too. We've been loading out semi-trucks of corn and yeah, Mark says it's been a few months for sure. So yeah, I haven't rolled dice in forever, so I'm excited. I don't care how it goes. I know we're gonna have it'll be weird to see. I'm sure we'll keep trying to play 2nd edition. Like we'll keep forgetting that. Oh no, you do it this way, or that it's 6 dice and not 5, or it's. Oh, that's right. That's so it'll be.
We need to do a report. Like, just we're not just like what I mean is you'll need to kind of report back on the show what you think of 3rd edition.
Yeah.
Asylum.
You're turning robotic on us.
Don't
oh yeah, I thought it was you that flipped out. Gato. But anyway, yeah, it'll be fun to see because. Obviously, it'd just be one game in, but being fairly experienced, played 2nd edition since it came out, quite a few games. So it'll be fun to see what we think, and then this will be a really tight terrain-filled table too. So just that'll be slightly different. Well, I always had lots of terrain, but it was always Normandy is what we played on in the past every time we were at my place here. So, well, mostly at Mark's too, actually. So it'll be interesting to see how that all goes. So super
Absolutely.
excited. That's me. That's me.
Oh, well, that's good. You guys both have a lot of stuff going on. I have played DBA this week with my buddy Mark, and just like with the pictures that I put on the website, I'm learning to be fair, and it's actually kind of an interesting game, as you guys may know. It's been around for a long time. I think you guys have both maybe played it. I'm not sure.
I have not.
You've not? Well,
no, but I'm familiar with it.
Well, I'm learning. I brought my India Army out, and the first game we had a 4-3 game, Mark winning, and so that's basically, he took 4 of my stands and I took 3 of his, and you need to win by taking 4 units,
right.
and then the next one it was like 4-1, like him, and so like I had a kind of a game that was close, and then a game where I lost pretty badly. But it was actually really good learning some of the strategies with it, because it is a fairly strategic game when you play, and so yeah, it was pretty good, and so I enjoyed that. As some of you guys know, I kind of got, you can see differently now this black thing right here with this green stripe, but this is my containment unit for my 3D printers. And I've vented this outside of my basement window, which is right here, just next to it. Okay. And I might show it on my channel at one point, my setup. But basically, I set this venting system with an inline fan and all this stuff, and I got another 3D printer, so I've got two resin printers in there. My actual FDM printer is literally now right next to me here, so it's like literally next to this monitor that I'm looking at on the table that I paint. So it's in a different spot. But and so I've been printing. I printed this chapel for old medieval chapel for the Napoleonic silver bayonet game, and so
that looks like a Bretonian chapel as well.
Does it?
Yeah, I could make that work.
So it's cool because it's just basically like an old European structure that's there during the Napoleonic Wars, and it's got like a, it's got basically it's empty, so you could put, it doesn't have furnishings or anything, but you can put, you could do stuff inside if you want to in the game, and so this is kind of nice.
I'd say it fit right into my cityscape.
Yeah.
Just pop it in the mail if you would. I'll send you my address.
And then
very nice.
I got this guy here, covered wagon that I'm going to use, and this came in pieces. Assemble it. I've got another one here that's basically meant to be a broken one. Like you can see, there's like broken parts of this same model. It's meant to be wreckage, and so I have. Basically, I'm doing 3 for my table for Silver Bayonet. I'm doing one that's covered, one without the cover, just to make it look different, and then I'm doing one that's just like demolished, just to have some stuff on the table, because they mention in the book specifically, put some carts and stuff there, like like wagons is what they said, and stuff like that. And I've got some other scatter terrain and things I'm going to do, because I've got the church here. I'm going to do a little, what do you call them? It's not a mausoleum, but it's just like basically a standing tomb, like crypt. One of those. Crypts. Yeah, I'm gonna print one of those, some gravestones and stuff. It's like a horror game, so there'll definitely be times where that will make sense to do some stuff like that. And then for those of you, in particular on my channel, I do feel there's this like silent group of people that wait for me to do French Indian War stuff. And like during the reign of Warhammer Fantasy that I've been in for a while now, like some of them have been patient, and then they like disappear and then show up once I put French Indian War stuff up again. I actually have been, doing some really good progress on my Grenadiers, and
well done.
and basically, you probably can't see this. I'm thinking that you probably can't see this, the difference. But really, this one is actually whiter than this one. Like with
I
the
could
naked
kind
eye.
of tell. I thought it was
You could
just
tell?
shadow. Yeah, I could tell. I thought it was just a shadow.
Yeah, so basically I'm just kind of doing the last coat of whites on these guys, and then I'm just really doing the base, and then I'm done. And so I'm just finishing, I'm just doing touch-ups on the white, and then I'm done. I got a couple little things. I noticed on my officer I missed some brass buttons. Like I got like some little stuff to do still. But for the most part, they're done. Like, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I always like, if I'm doing 24 miniatures, like there are times when I just like forget something on one of them, you know, like, or I miss something on one of them.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Never fails.
Never. Yeah. And so I'm going back and doing that kind of stuff. I've got my officer here. So he's just about, just about ready to be finished. I did the pinstriping on his coat. And so loving doing that stuff. And it's funny because doing the French Indian War stuff in some ways has me even more excited to do some of the Napoleonic stuff for Silver Bayonet. Like now that I'm kind of getting into this sort of horse and musket stuff.
Style. Yeah.
It's different, but you know, it's good. And so that's mostly that. I'm trying to think.
Were those Minden miniatures?
These are Mindens, yeah.
Yeah.
So these ones are Minden. I have, despite what I just said, I have this guy here. This is a piece of half of a Jabber's scythe for Warhammer Fantasy. It's a beast for Beastmen, and this is a resin model that I'm putting together. So I'm going to work on that a little bit because what I have found recently for me is I've really, as much as sometimes getting distracted while you're painting something and like leaving it and doing something else, it can be the kiss of death. I've found recently that if I have a healthy balance, that sometimes when I take on a big project, I really do enjoy finishing other ones in between and doing other stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
Recently, it's helped me a bit, and so I finished both my Rumble Slam team and one fleet for Drop Fleet, and I really enjoyed doing that while I was painting these Grenadiers. And now, like, you know, I'm kind of looking at doing like one figure for Rumble Slam and like one little group of ships for Drop Fleet, like to add, and then like this Jabber Scythe as I'm then finishing these and then going into doing the Silver Bayonet models. And so that's kind of like what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Basically.
I did that back when I was doing my Bretonians. I was doing a night or a unit or a couple nights, and then I would do a regiment from AWI, and I just went back and forth. So I haven't always just powered through.
Stuck with one.
Yeah, but it's just the two, so you always were feeling like you didn't blow a project off.
Right. Well, why don't we take a quick look at the comments before we get into our topic? Oh, I didn't mention my what I'm drinking. So as you can see, I've already started with the Heineken. I needed to start that just so I could get through your guys' updates.
That's flattering.
All right.
And then what I've got here is my actual drink for the night is, look, one that Jan will recognize.
Oh, there you go.
I got to, and actually this one here is brand new. It's not even open. I'm actually, and so this was, I think this is their regular one. It just says triple distilled, but I think that's their regular bottle says that.
That's their regular.
Yeah. So that's why I have that. This was on sale when I got it. And so it was good. And so that's it for me. So basically I have a whiskey chaser after I finish my beer. So
that's fair.
Why don't we go up here and see what's going on? We have got, I'm not going to put the haze up there, just like how are you kind of things. But Smitty just mentioned that he was able to stay up longer than the kiddo tonight for once. So he's here.
Yeah, that slowed him down. Yeah.
Clyde asked, did the
For some reason kids do that to you?
Yeah.
Did the Winter Yeti get Tim? Well, Tim is bitten by the bug right now. And so I think he said that he's not feeling well.
Yeah, not feeling well.
Not sure. It was actually, he was trying to make it, so he didn't really let us know till kind of right before because he was hoping to come, but he's not feeling good. And yeah, we didn't really get into the details, but hopefully he feels better.
Yep.
I'm not sure. It's a trap reference from Clyde. I'm not sure if that's a Star Wars reference or what he was referring to in our discussion. was probably something relevant at the time. That's one of the hard things about getting to
15 minutes ago.
comments later. Yeah. Josh says, good to hear Dan. And
Oh,
can't
probably
wait-
about 3D printing, maybe. Anyway, I don't know.
Oh yeah, that could be. That could very well
Yeah.
be. And actually, I think he just clarified referencing 3D.
Yep,
printers.
there he said it. Yep,
Um,
okay.
Good to hear, Dan, and can't wait to see your table with all your terrain, mate.
Yeah, I got to post some
Um,
stuff on that.
And,
We'll take pictures during our game. We always do that.
Somebody says it's been a few months for sure, and that's since your last game.
Yeah.
Dang it, save us, Dan Kenobi, from these people with 3D printers tempting. Yes. Yeah, no, it's kind of almost like magic the first time you get into it. Like if you're really into miniatures, like, and you really like your sculptures and your terrain and all that stuff, the first time you start seeing people just like making their own stuff that like literally they didn't have to make, like they just essentially just printing it off.
Well, our topic tonight also is I'm gonna tie into a little bit into 3D printing.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds good. And so, and then I guess the other thing is just the quality has gone up in some ways over the years. And so,
yeah,
there was a time when it was easy to say no, easier, like if you didn't like your layer lines and stuff.
Well, yeah. Well, and FDM printers were hard to use.
Yeah.
Always have success anyway.
Yeah.
Smitty had one, or he still does.
Yeah. No, I mean they have their challenges, and it's a bit more of an art form as to what you want to use them for.
Yep.
I was really happy with doing some like simple like movement trays for Warhammer Fantasy with them and stuff though. Like I really like some of that stuff.
They still probably have their place. Yeah.
Yeah. Clyde says those are some sharp grenadiers.
Yeah.
So there we
Inside
go.
joke there.
Yeah. Exactly. Grenadiers for battle tech.
He hit all the hot buttons in one sentence. That's a mic drop right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we can go now.
We could end the show.
Well, we got two topics tonight. One of them is basically just a discussion on the social contract that we have as gamers with our gaming, either friends or opponents or however you want to look at it. Maybe just like what that means to you. Like, have you ever gamed somewhere where they had an official one, like where you guys like literally said, like, this is like, we'll just discuss how we want to do this. Why would you do that? Do you feel like you need one? Like, do you have experiences where it's like sort of unwritten, things like that? And then we have another one, which is about, well, Dan, I'll let you say the way you'd like to say it, just as far as introducing like that one. Like, what would you say the second one is going to be?
I guess the second one for me, I was just thinking about sort of just maybe even just giving shout outs or whether it's experience you've had or just awareness you have or things that have caught your eye as far as sort of any miniature manufacturer. But I was thinking specific like of ones that maybe people don't know about, that are,
Small
maybe
indie style.
Yeah, indie style, or even like some GW sculptors that used to be with GW back in the 80s and 90s, and maybe that where they're on their own now, and maybe you didn't know it, but you can buy their miniatures through these certain lines. A lot of this that I was thinking about were some of them are even sort of old school style. Metal miniatures in particular, hand sculpted still, stuff like that. Yeah, more indie type because you run across them once in a while, and I've got some things I can add when we get into that discussion. But that was kind of the topic, just kind of heads up, and in any genre doesn't, but just ones that maybe aren't on people's radar just through lack of exposure.
Well, that sounds good. Which one would you guys like to do first?
Oh, I suppose we could start, since you mentioned social contract, we could do that.
Okay.
Yeah, start
All right.
there.
Well, I think I gave the intro for it already by just kind of saying what it is. So I think you guys kind of know where I was going with it. Does anybody want to start off on it?
Well, we could always just kind of say what a social contract kind of definition of it is. But
Well, yeah, define it how you would define it
yeah,
Well, to me,
for you or anybody.
yeah. Oh, I see. Do you want to make that the discussion? What
Yeah, I mean,
the
because
definition
it can be attacked from different directions. I mean, just so when you're commenting, you're kind of where are you coming from? What is your definition, or what you mean by social contract? Or
Right. Well, I guess I'll start then. In that sense, since I kind of brought the topic up and we're going like basing on a definition.
Yeah.
Initially, when I first heard the term, it was used more in the sense of it not being a literal contract, like, not being like a literal agreement that whether it be not written necessarily, like I don't think, but just, like whether it was literally discussed formally.
Mhm.
But in most cases, it was like somebody did something that wasn't good. And like somebody like would say, when discussing issues like that's like kind of a violation of the social contract. Like it was sort of like referencing this unwritten thing that gamers, should have or do have, or, like that it was just referred to in that tense. But I do think that there are actually some places and people, even if they don't outwardly talk about it as like an expectation, that they have like some game masters, like GMs and like event organizers and people will have a social contract in mind when they're actually running something.
Tournaments do that, yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought it would be an interesting just discussion just to see, even like with the folks, because we always have so much experience with people in the chat usually on this show.
Mhm.
So I just thought maybe getting a discussion like that going just would be interesting. I have never had a formal social contract in anywhere I've ever played. And as you guys know, I'm not really at all a tournament player. Not always by design, like, or choice. Like I might actually in the future go to one, but I just haven't in my gaming career typically went that route. It was usually just gaming with friends.
Mhm.
But I think that sometimes there was one time when I think I kind of broke what would be some people's social contract, and it wasn't even that long ago. And in some ways, I kind of kicked myself. Like I was introducing someone to Old World, and I was really, in my mind, I never really thought of winning and losing, or like taking something inferior like the first time against somebody that's the first time that they're playing, as being really an issue, like, or consideration. Like I kind of always brought the same list no matter what I was doing, and it was usually maximizing my book. Like, you could call it cheese if you want, but I usually would bring the things that I thought were good and I would practice with them. And even if I was doing a learning game, that's what I would do. And I played this one game where I just blew this guy off the table. He'd never played the game before. And he was an experienced gamer. And I think I actually brought it up on this show once.
Yeah, I remember.
And I felt like maybe I violated that. Like I kind of thought maybe I violated that. Because a lot of times people say like you should do your best to, when you're introducing the game with someone, to let them feel as if they've got a shot, and like they're just learning, like you're not trying to blow them out of the water and stuff. And so in my mind, when I was teaching, we were going step by step through, but it was still, I was kind of showing how it was working, but I was also showing it in a way that my army was doing much better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, that's actually in some ways the social contract of actually introducing a new person to a game, which is a little bit different than just any social contract necessarily. But yeah, like it kind of, I don't, I think because it bothered me a little bit, I mean, it kind of shows that, to me at least, that it's something that I think is important. And that I probably did that wrong. I should do that again.
So what makes you feel that way? Is it because you're worried about turning off a new player, or you felt like it was
Well,
like
it wasn't a
unfair,
tournament. It
yeah, but
wasn't a tournament, and it was a
right.
teaching game. And I think part of the social contract is that people should talk if they think that it's necessary to talk about it, like to help it happen. I think the objective should be to have fun. Like,
Yep.
and I'm not so sure that in the end, like when he brought all of his miniatures out, and you saw them get like wiped out, that he had as much fun. Like, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
And and I think that's the thing
That's
that
what I
bothers
wonder
me.
if that's what you're getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that bothers me. Like, I want people to have fun, when they play. And I think it'd been a while since I taught somebody new, and I was just kind of in my own groove of how I played. And even though I was instructing and I was really like very patient, and like kind of we would look at the book and like we would do everything really carefully and just sort of take time. You had all the time in the world. I still like rushed my dragon ogres up and just clobbered his dark elves, like. And so I guess, and even like, I think I had like a Shaggoth, like, just like some pretty powerful units on the table, like muscling around, like in his first game, like, he's got like these quivering things that he doesn't even like know his list really well yet in his book. And like, I just kind of did that. And so, yeah, I don't know. I just felt like, I think it's important to know when you feel like you did something wrong and
Yep.
And not do it again if you feel that's true. And so,
Bad
yeah.
Palmer, bad Palmer.
But we're talking about the social contract, and like you could argue that that's part of it. Like, like bringing in new players is ways, that you should kind of handle that. Like when showing them the game, like, when I think of social contracts, oftentimes I do think about sportsmanship, like even in games that are casual, being a good sport, I think, is important. I think trying to make it so everybody's having a good time. And if you felt like just you had an off game, but then like you made it so the person that's winning couldn't enjoy their win and their game because like you were disappointed, then I think that's in some ways like a violation of it too. And I think the list goes on and on to some degree. Like I think like the list of things, just it being good sportsmanship and things like that, like can carry into a lot of different things. Even like a lot of the game designers themselves try to make a game more enjoyable for their customers by allowing for casual resolution of rule problems that come up during a game that you can't figure it out at that moment. And so like, whether it be a 50-50 roll off or something, they want you to be able to do it. But if like somebody just can't let it go, then in some ways, to me, that could be in some circles a violation of that social contract too.
I think it's important to know, which sometimes you can't know if it's somebody you don't know very well, but
or it's got to be fact or something. Like
some people, that's what they love. I mean, maybe not a new person, you don't want to pile on them, but to some people, are they like super competitive? They want to see, and they want you to bring it, and if they screw up, they want to pay. They're good with that because that's what they want is to. It is super competitive. But if you got one that's super competitive and one that's more into like, I just want to build a thematic list, or I just painted these last couple units, I want to get them on the table, then you're not on the same page. And so I think that's part of it. You need to, because miniature gaming, even more so than board gaming or some of those other kind of things, there's so much gray area.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you can run into more issues. I mean, you can't dispute a 6 when you roll a 6, but can they, like bolt action, can he see him, and can you see 50, how many guys can see? And then
right.
when you put your tape measure out and he's supposed to move 6 inches, well, did you move him 6 and then scooched him another 1.5 inches, because of some terrain. You know what I mean? And so,
Front of the base to back of the base
yeah,
when measuring
yes. I mean,
movements.
I've seen a lot of things, but some of it obviously can be just chalked up to, either sloppy play or they're not that, we're calling it good, and we just, and it kind of goes both ways. But then other people are like, no, you measure to the 6 inch and I want it, which there's no wrong way to do it. But I think that's where the social contract enters in, is that you need to agree to make each other's experience fun, because it isn't miniature game. Not only did you have to buy and paint or purchase painted or whatever terrain and buildings and the time invested in the cart, all that stuff around to do it. And then all the grayness that miniature tabletop gaming has, that, it's the experience, I think. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just looking at it that way, but it is supposed to be fun. I mean, if you're at a tournament, that's a whole different thing. It's bring your best. You're trying to kill the other guy. You can do it without, being a dick, of course, because I've gotten tabled at tournaments and had fun. And I've also
it might even be more important there, though.
Yeah,
because you're with a stranger and you both invested a lot of time and money to get there, and the way you behave in a tournament could be even more important in some ways.
Well, in some ways, yes, but to me, it doesn't matter, because I know I'm not trying to win. I'm not like number 5 in the national rate.
No, I mean the way people in general, not you. I mean people in general.
Right, but I mean. I guess. But I guess, whatever people do at a tournament, I figure it's a free for all. And I'm just, I'm gonna. It really is. I mean, I'm not gonna argue somebody that thinks that he can see that guy that I'm like, there's no way. And that's fine. You just know you're going to run into that. So you have to have that mindset and just let it go. But if I'm going to get together with, friends or casual game or something, then I'm more into where I want it to be. It's almost like it's part of your responsibility to make that the other player has fun. And I don't mean by that by like, well, I won't shoot at that unit because, I don't want his unit to get killed, but to try to, I mean, I don't know. It's like a dance almost. It's like both people need to be doing, you're doing it together, and it needs to be fun. And
remind me not to go to a tournament against you.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to be hard on you. You could cheat.
I'm not dancing with you, Dan.
Well, you're not my type, so that's okay.
Oh.
I'm trying to pin here, man.
I love you, man. No, but you know what I mean, though. It's like, I think that's, tournaments are their own thing, and you just, that's how they're going to be. And, you try to be the sportsman and stuff. And most people are. Most times it is, and that's fine. But I think in the casual games, which are even more fun to me, because that's where, like, of course, Mark is who I mostly play. And when I played Rusty, too, it's like, you try to make it thematic, and you try to, it's two armies that did meet historically. And then we try to set the terrain up how it would have been. And we, you just, and we know the other guy isn't going to bring like, this total cheese list, and we oftentimes will bring a unit that's something we haven't used before. And, it's probably one you'd never bring to a tournament just because it's, we won't know.
Historically correct to put it on the table.
Yeah, but it's like not competitive. I don't know, version 3 will be different experiences there, but there were certain units you just didn't take. Yeah, that was one. You just almost never took a medium machine gun, and there was certain tanks you never took. They were overpriced, but we would do it, and we'd have a great time with that, and it can be super fun that way.
You can see models on the table you normally don't see, which is fun.
Yeah, and there are things that we think look cool, so you paint them up and we play them, and we just, and you can laugh at each other's bad rolls and cheer when the other guy has an incredible, blows up your, like, Mark has blown up whole squads of mine with this heavy mortar, And
I think you just paid a comment in there.
And we still
about that.
Okay, yeah, you're. Yeah, I don't have my glasses. I can't see, but it. I mean, it's just that's what's fun. You know, we just have a great time just giving each other shit and
Yeah.
but we're both trying to win. See, that's not what I mean. It's not like you're trying to like I want it to be close. It does because we've had games that weren't close. Most of them are, but
Mhm.
it's like how you play. You know, is important, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, Rusty, I know it's your turn next, but the only thing I was just going to say while I can think of it is I kind of alluded to or said that I think making sure the other person has a good time is part of it. Um, have you ever had the experience where somebody just kind of started to stop liking a game that you really liked, and they almost made it so when you played it, you couldn't like it anymore? Like, I don't know if you know what I'm talking. It sounds like Rusty knows what I'm talking, and it's you next. But I think that's part of the social contract too. I almost think that you shouldn't play a game you don't like with your own friends if you start going down that path, just because you can almost take like a group of people that like a game and you can just constantly criticize everything about it to the point where people are they didn't stop liking it and they still like it, but they just don't really like it when you're there like playing it
Oh,
because you just can't, like, you obviously don't like it anymore. And maybe like you're trying to get the group to play something different or something like that. I don't know. That's kind of tough.
Yeah.
yeah. I played games like board games that I don't particularly like. My brother likes different things than I do, but I'll still do it because you know then sometimes he'll play a game that he doesn't like as much, but I'm like dying to play, and you know I
But
don't
if you
mind
make
that.
but you don't make it so like you don't talk constantly about how you don't like it the whole time.
No, no, you embrace it because it's like it's fun to see them having fun, and then next week or next month, then I'm gonna pick one and we'll do what I want to do, and he
But
makes it
that's
fun.
following the social contract, I think. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
because that's basically, recognizing that it's important to have a good time.
Yeah.
But you're playing something that maybe you don't like so much and you wouldn't play otherwise, but
Hmm.
you're actually not making that known to everyone
Yeah,
throughout the
because
whole thing.
it's not like you despise it. I mean, you know, geez, man,
Yeah.
let's be be a
It's
decent
just a
human.
game.
Yeah, it's just a
Well,
game. Have and it, you know, it can't be if you like the game and you like miniature gaming. There's not probably any of them that I'd never at least play a few times because I'm sure it's fun in its own way. It's just maybe not something I'll paint an army up for or buy the book or whatever. But
you may have heard, but gamers oftentimes take their games very seriously. And
I, I've heard
there are
rumors.
folks there are folks that actually don't let you off that easy.
Yeah, and that's fine. And those be the kind of people I wouldn't probably game with anyway.
True.
It's life's too short,
So
and,
Rusty.
and
Mhm.
they could probably find a group or another person that's more fun for them, so that that we're all
Mhm.
winning then.
And I actually don't think that it's always the case that you can't play that person. I just think that you just have to agree, like, just not to play that particular game. Like if they
Right.
can't do it themselves, then you have to do it for them. Like, just not play that game with them. Just always say, I'd rather play something else and play
Hmm.
that game with other people. Just because if they're making you frustrated with things you like, then you just play something else with them that they like.
Yeah, I've never really had that problem, I guess, much, but
Mhm.
I know what you mean.
How about you, Rusty?
Well, I'd say the big thing about social contract is trying to get along. Uh, One of the things that really irked me is watching people get pissy, getting angry over guys dying on the battlefield when they're
Not
gaming.
even guys, toys.
Yeah, they're just plastic little or metal figurines that they get resurrected at the end of the game. So
Yeah,
it's like you go into the game knowing it's like, oh, I'm going to lose guys. It's no big deal. It's like, do chess masters get mad when they start losing pieces because, well, geez, you have to lose some pieces to win. So, like, it's the nature of the game. So that's one of the things that just irks the heck out of me. It's like when you're sitting there trying to enjoy a game and you think you're having fun, and all of a sudden someone starts throwing stuff around and getting angry and just grabbing things angrily and yanking it off the table, and it's like, Why? You just blasted a bunch of my guys. It's like, I didn't get pissy about it. It's like, oh no, they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody likes to win. I mean, I understand that. You know, it's fun, but you got to keep a little perspective.
Yeah,
Which,
you can't win them all.
We all, I mean, you know, sometimes it hits you sideways. I get that.
Yeah. But sometimes the best laid plans go sideways. You know, it's like, well, those dice are really screwing me over today. Like,
yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But, you know, I was like, you're the one that threw them, so who can you blame? So,
yeah.
That's one of the things that really irks me. But then having individuals that I'm always, I guess when I'm trying to play games, I'm always like suggesting things to people. It's like, you know, you sure that's the best thing you should be doing at the moment, you know, that type of deal. It's like, you look at it like, ooh, that's a bad idea. No, you don't want to do that. It's like, and you kind of suggest like, I don't know if you want to do that. And they go ahead and do it anyway, and then get hammered for it, and then they get pissed. And you're like, I told you. So
You aren't talking about your brothers, are you?
Sometimes. And other people also I played with over the years too.
Yeah.
But that's one thing is that I'm always, there was one game where we were playing Dystopian Wars one day, and an individual that we used to play with, we no longer play with because, well, he sort of broke the social contract multiple times. But, he'd be doing something, and I was like, and the few times he'd be, let's say you have an iceberg out there or an island, and he said, finish his guy up to move, and he still had some movement left. And I said, you sure you don't want to turn him more? I'm good. I said, you sure? Because if you turned him a little bit more, you won't have any problems. And he's like, I'm fine. It's not going to be any issue. And then he goes to take the turn tech down.
That's an issue.
And he runs right into the island. I was like, I was trying to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm not a meat puppet. Get your hand out of my bleepity bleep. And I'm like, I'm just trying to make it more fun for you.
Escalated. Yeah. Well, guys can be that way. Let's.
Well, the other thing I was going to bring up, because it's almost like a separate topic, but it actually totally falls right in line with this. And, sometimes, in my experience, sometimes wargamers and gamers can get insulted at the notion of somebody saying this. But there is this belief sometimes that, and particularly in miniature wargaming, like there is a percentage of the population that's a little more antisocial than the broader population at large.
Yeah.
And you can almost say that about nerds too. Like you could take this into so many directions, like nerd culture or whatever. But it's just there are times, when having kind of like basic expectations within a group playing can lead to better outcomes. Yeah. Like, like where, if you've got some folks where you've had some problems, within the gaming group or whatever, and there's been some problems, then sometimes having like, I'm not saying that things have to be ridiculous, like, where it's got to be a contract written in blood and it's got to, it's ridiculous. But sometimes just having a basic understanding of some basic rules of expectations, can be helpful when you have a lot of people, and sometimes even people that don't hang out with each other outside of this setting. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are people that come down because of the game, but they don't come down like, like they're not people that hang out with each other for other reasons. Like I have some friends that I will hang out with, outside of gaming, that like and do other things and also play games with. And then like, those are folks that you have a tendency to just get along with more, like in general, because you're choosing to hang out together. And then there are folks that you only see at the gaming place and you're friendly and whatever, that's great. But but that's just strictly it. And then there's folks that you only see at the gaming place and you're not really close to them as far as friends or whatever.
Yeah,
it's just the game.
I think you're right about that. I think that's actually some of it too, is when you're gaming with, friends, then like you said, you're already friends.
Yeah.
So you kind of know each other, and you probably have some compatibility. That's why you're friends. But a lot of times, when, of course, like tournaments, you get up against a lot of people that I'd never hang out with them,
Yeah.
And so maybe that's some of it too.
When I first got into gaming again, because like as many of you know, I played a bit in the high school, like the original Rogue Trader, and I did, I was into D&D, but I really didn't get back into game again until 40K in probably 2011, 2012. And the funny thing is I was learning much of the game, like while playing against folks, like, like I kind of tried to learn it, but, I just was new to wargaming again. And I was truly trying to figure things out while I was playing my first number of games. And sometimes there'd be long spaces in between games because I didn't really have a gaming group at that point. I was sort of just only finding games when I went to a shop. Mm-hmm. And there was this one guy, and he's kind of known for being a bit of a rules lawyer and just a bit of an interesting character. And he had no problem playing a game with me, probably because nobody wanted to play him,
Yeah.
And I remember he got really frustrated with my knowledge of the rules during the game. And he said something to me I'll never forget. He's like, Palmer, I just kind of assumed that you just knew you knew this a little bit better or whatever, like something like that. It was just because I was who I was, I didn't get insulted or whatever, because I truly was just learning it again, But it was just funny how it was just to see him like really frustrated and then go like, just really I thought that you knew this more, or whatever. Like it was like, why? Because of the people I talked to in the shop, like, like why would you think that? Like,
right.
Like you had no idea. I mean, I was pretty open. I was pretty open that I was new again at it. So
that's funny.
I find that some people that you find it going to the shop are, it's like you're talking to them for a while and you get to know them. It's like, you're definitely you're somewhere on that spectrum of where it's like you definitely have some very big awkwardness that comes socially with it, but
social awkwardness, well, and and that can go both ways in the sense of like, sometimes that can be a really good thing in the way that they behave, and then sometimes like you can deal with some awkward situations, but yeah,
it's kind of like having the who Sheldon Cooper is from Big Bang Theory.
Sheldon,
it's like, imagine playing a game with the Sheldon Coopers. Every once in a while you have one of those that always shows up to the shop, and then you're going to be playing against them every once in a while, and it's like, okay, this is going to be interesting.
You're taking this very seriously. Well, and it takes all types, and I do find that I do find, I don't know, I think we're getting beyond wargaming, but I do find the more you try to find the good in people, the more you enjoy life. Yes. Like in the sense that like the more, because if you only look at the bad things, then you're always mad at everybody or you don't like people in general. But if the more you actually like kind of look for the good things, the better time we all have, like kind of in my experience. But I know what you're saying. It's many of us that have been in like a big shop that has like a lot of people coming, like, different people, have all had that experience where like, you play against someone that you don't necessarily want to play against again, like, and I've had that, as well. And, but sometimes that's all
sometimes it's like, I always remember when we were playing War Machine on a Wednesday night, like during the summer, and back when it was really popular and actually everybody used to play it, and you'd have like 30 people show up for War Machine night, and you're pairing off, and all of a sudden you're like, oh yes, you're the last one left. All right. Is it I'm the last one left, or are you the last one left? No one wants to play against me, or no one wants to play against you. How does that Am I the issue or are they the issue?
And Rusty's like, they just don't want to play me because they know I'm going to win. It's not because I'm weird.
That's what we'll say. We'll stick to that.
That's right.
Jeez.
It kind of reminds me of like the movie Highlander when they're out in the they're having the big battle on the Highlands, and every warrior rose up saying, "Oh, not him, not him."
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He's mine. He's mine. Or we were not supposed to get that one. I remember that one. That was with the 2 battles of the Scots.
Yes.
Yeah, the tribal battles. Well, why don't we get to hit the comments here, see what people have been saying. So Smitty says the NAM 68 rulebook mentions the social contract. I think battle group rules do as well, since it's the same authors.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And I think I've seen it in some rulebooks too.
Do I have to print it out and sign it?
In blood.
In blood. Thank you.
Clyde says, I only really play casual games. Rule of cool and fluffy thematic armies. Rarely win, just there for fun, often stomped by others.
It's really fun when you can find somebody on the same page as you, and then then it's so fun.
Smitty says, they approach it as it's a game, so have fun and don't be a Richard Noggin about things. Work out gray area situations together. Yeah, no, and I think that usually is a common theme. It's a bit of a, like, in some ways, it's also a bit damage protection for them too, the rule writers, because all these people they do come to like the communities, like the forums, the Facebook pages, and they like want to like have answers and like they want FAQs and things like that. But I think the more that people take it like too seriously, makes it just more difficult even on the community. You know what I mean? Like for the game itself. Like
you get a bunch of bad vibes going and a bunch of people fighting on the Facebook group.
Yeah. And to some degree that's always going to happen, but at the same time, if you can try to mitigate it,
as much as possible.
Yeah. Somebody says, pretty sure my German heavy mortar violated the social contract at Dan's U.S. tank anti-gun once.
Oh yeah, it was actually I remember it was his place, and I had just had painted up, and that's still when I had some kids at home. I was just getting into bolt action, and I finished painting up the U.S. Medium howitzer from Warlord. So it's that metal one you glue together, and I'd made my own base, cut it out of MDF, and anyway. And I brought it over and set it up and had it looking down this road. Yeah, and he heavy mortared it. It never even fired a shot off the table. That was all fair, though. We always have fun.
Yeah.
Hey, what are they rolling up down the road right there? It looks like an anti-tank gun. It's rated in TRP-1. Well, what should we do? Fire TRP-1.
Of course, you needed like, a 6 or something, on his first roll. Nailed it, took it out.
Josh says, the only time I've thrown something in a game was a D20 playing Infinity. I had to quit playing the game as it was just too intense and too many rules. Infinity's like that, and I really like that game, but I unfortunately... Well, let me finish this comment. Switch to old GW games and never look back. I actually really like Infinity, but the reality is for me to play it, and there's opportunity to play locally, I have to literally go to a gaming group that just plays that. Yeah. And so I normally like to play just with my sort of buddies, and the buddy that I kind of got into it with just never really painted up his miniatures. And so I've played it in the past, and I actually played it with my daughter a bit, like I was showing, and she kind of liked it too, but it was just...
It's heavy.
It's one of those games, like if every game you play is Infinity, then you really can't play that many games because like you have to keep so many rules in your head. But like I always compliment it though. Like I think for people that like a tactical science fiction game, skirmish game, and they want something that's kind of innovative,
very crunchy.
It's very cool game, and the models are wonderful. But I hear what you're saying. It's not one of the easier games.
Does it still have a good following or not?
Yeah,
I think it still does. I think it could. I'm not sure that it's where it was at one point, but I don't know.
It's around here. It was the flavor of the day, and when the new edition came out, we played a lot of it, and then eventually everybody moved on to a new game system.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think maybe for the reasons that Josh said, it might be one of the reasons why it's never become like a number one game, because it's a whole nother topic. But I do think that there's an argument to be said that even a game that is arguably or debatably good, like a good standout game, if it's really difficult, it may actually not appeal to the masses in the end.
Yeah.
Like, because like a lot of people like to play multiple things, and it just depends. I mean, that's my cat behind the door over there wanting to get.
It's like they're looking to see if Tim's cat's around. So.
Yeah.
Every war gamer has got a cat.
I got 2 and a dog.
Yeah. Okay.
And a wife that's a vet too. So that's kind of where it all comes together.
Jeez, I guess.
I'd say in wargaming, it's complexity is like a pyramid. You got the people that really love complex, crunchy type of games are at the top of the pyramid, and the masses are at the bottom, like basic games like 40K or something like that. So.
Yeah. Well, Josh continues on and says, plus the people that played Infinity also played very seriously. I just want us to sink beers, have some laughs and roll dice with good people. And, like that could be that particular Infinity group too. Like it could be like the culture of that group, but like there are some people, and Josh, like I'd be curious whether you agree with me on this, because you know your Warhammer Fantasy historically. But there are people that would look at the Warhammer Fantasy community historically and say that they were like a bunch of grognards, like at one point, and difficult, like in the way you're saying. And like I really like Warhammer Fantasy.
I was reading a couple people commenting several different places this week, like on Facebook or somewhere, telling about how Warhammer Fantasy is just so complicated and heavy, which
Rusty's laughing.
I know, but because I thought that at first too, and I agree. It's not.
He's got such a chip on his shoulder, like Rusty. He literally guffaws, like he can't even control himself. The thing is, it's Rusty. There are aspects to it, like the interactions, of some of the rules that can get, like you can get like multiple combats going on.
Lots of different interactions too
at once, and it can
different
get
armies
but, like,
and
the basics of it may not be, but like there are times when I think it can offer some complexities.
If it was somebody's first miniature game, I would say
it could be tough. Yeah,
could be fairly complex.
I suppose if it's your first miniature game, it may seem complicated.
If you're going from Zombicide to Warhammer Fantasy Battles, it could be difficult.
Yeah, not just even if somebody gave you a painted army, I'm not even saying that, just the rules. Yeah,
and Infinity is another one that would be really difficult, like if it was your first game.
But I have to say, unless you played Squad Leader,
which I have, lots.
So then, if you played
Advanced Squad Leader,
Advanced Squad Leader, if you played that, and you go, these games are not hard at all.
Yeah, that does make your brain hurt, though.
Yes.
Clyde says only blood contracts. Comes from the casual fluffy gamer. Bill
great.
Joined the room. Oh, what is it? It's 6 minutes, so we're not that long before saying hello. Hey, Bill, thanks for joining. Bill says Frostgrave is my favorite D20 based game. What's funny is I never got into Frostgrave, and despite all of the rage and so many people liking it, but now that I'm looking at Silver Bayonet and seeing that game by the same author, I might consider looking into it at one point, because I actually am really enjoying reading through Silver Bayonet, which is different. I know it's not the same. It's not D20. It's 2D10. They specifically do it differently.
What's the miniature count on that game like? I don't even know.
So it's like it's like 8 to 12 per side.
Oh, it's that small.
Like Frostgrave, then.
I was thinking like 30 or something. Okay.
No. And I'm talking about Silver Bayonet.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking about.
Yeah, 8 to 12.
Yeah,
Oh,
same thing. It's
I didn't
similar
know.
to like Frostgrave, where you have like a leader and its retinue of individuals. And
Okay.
Warmut's in the house too. Hey, Warmut.
Hey.
But yeah, like I'm considering. I actually really like what I'm seeing so far of Silver Bayonet. Actually, it could be a thing for me. It's possible.
My gosh.
Like the whole doing some Napoleonic stuff, and could be a bit
You're
of a
opening up a whole Pandora's box there, buddy.
yeah. Well, and I'm gonna try to contain it.
Yeah.
You know,
You can't put the
I,
genie back
I'm not
in.
doing. I'm not doing any black powder 28 mil. But I may consider doing some musket and tomahawks. They have the shakos and bayonets, the supplement for musket and tomahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Linking
Yeah.
those with silver bayonet, having like a bit of a Napoleonic 1812 War of 1812 kind of troop. For that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that fits.
Ormut says, I'm listening and shopping Noble Knight's clearance sale right now.
Oh,
I did not know that existed.
Yeah,
Noble
they have
Knight?
this- every once in a while, Noble Knight has a sale going. I get their emails.
me too. And I've gotten stuff from them before.
Yeah.
Board gaming usually, but
You're gonna stock all of your unboxings, Wormut. I noticed that you do a lot of unboxings. You're gonna have like unboxings for the next year situated from that Noble Knight clearance sale.
yeah. What's he shopping for? I wonder what he's shopping for in particular.
They got it looks like we have an Arizona contingent in the house tonight.
Oh,
So Clyde says, squad leader to Battletech to Warhammer. Squad leader to Battletech to Warhammer to modern skirmish games.
that's his background, huh?
Yeah.
Hmm.
The question is so did you go like from really crunchy progressively down to the least crunchy and that's where you like the most, or do you still like crunchy games sometimes?
Yeah, it sounds like my progression because I started playing Squad Leader way back in the early 80s, and Battletech came out, and we got into Warhammer, and then other skirmish type of games.
So if you really like crunchy games, but then you move to games that are not crunchy, is that like drinking your dinner through a straw? Is that like is it like puree? I like my war games puree instead of crunchy.
Sort of like old age too. You just you can only think about one thing at a time. So
I need a game where I don't need meat.
Yeah.
You don't want to chew. You just want to slurp your food.
I don't have any teeth anymore, so.
I don't know what Bill and Warmut are talking about here, but Bill's saying I scoff at ASL. I was in the SFB camp. I don't know.
Advanced Squad Leader versus Starfleet Battles.
Oh, okay.
I played.
I'm not even trying. I'm not trying to figure out the acronyms right now.
Yeah, Advanced Squad Leader. Nothing is more complex than that, I think.
Well,
I
you
heard
get into
Starfleet Battles was pretty crunchy though.
Starfleet Battles get into the captain's rules, and then Admiral.
Yeah,
so
we used
you
to
get
play it.
You got even more, but it's like BattleTech. You can add as many rules as you want.
Yeah, we probably didn't get that deep in it there, but we played it a bunch years ago.
Clyde says he still likes crunchy. I know he still plays BattleTech, so I guess that adds quite a level of crunchiness.
I like crunchy better when I don't have to game like so late at night, because that's when I usually end up doing it, except miniature gaming, I guess. But all my board gaming's like it.
Wormut says crunchy's only for. Oh, sorry, Dan.
No, go ahead.
Hard shell.
Wormut says crunchy only for tacos. Me no likey crunchy games. Well, everybody's got like kind of what they, everybody, what they want. Like to some degree. I don't know. Like you can really get immersed into the aesthetic even in a crunchy game, but sometimes more narrative style games that have more RPG elements can be less crunchy on the tactical component, and in order to accommodate like dialogue and storyline, and like sometimes games that are less crunchy can offer in other ways, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because then you got random events maybe, and it's just it's a different approach, really.
And sometimes it depends on what you're feeling too. It's like,
Yeah.
it's nice once in a while just to play an easy, no thinky game, you know.
Clyde says, I can just I could just find more people to play. Well, I've heard that you're a little too casual. That's your reputation kind of precedes you.
You kind of gave it up tonight.
You're a little too casual there, Clyde.
Shoots and ladders.
You know, like during COVID, the whole no pants Zoom calls.
Oh yeah.
You know, you can't do that in gaming.
Oh lordy.
Let's see. Bill says I have drifted more crunchy to easy rules as I grow older.
Yeah.
I don't know what I like more because I like the crunchy games, but I'm also like Silver Bayonet's not a crunchy game, but I'm really enjoying it, and for different reasons. And I like I'm starting to yearn for my old Musk and Tomahawk days where I spent a lot of time on terrain and like the story aspect of the game and just enjoying the game itself, but really the setting and like the visuals like take a huge component of it, like, you know, the enjoyment of it for me. And but I still like games that are crunchier too, like they still appeal to me. So I don't know.
That's probably why like I play BattleTech is, you know, since it's such a classic BattleTech, it's such an easy game. There's you don't have to think about it. It's easy, the rules are so easy.
Yeah.
So
I think that crunchy games require like appeal to people that are a bit like enjoy system thinking, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean system as in game system, but that is true. Like it's game because the games are systems. But there are people that are like system thinkers that like they tend to like RTS games over first person shooter games. Like, you know, like they like things where you're trying to figure stuff out and like trying to control like a system, like in all its different ways. And one of the reasons I got into fish tanks, like saltwater aquariums, everybody thinks that you get into saltwater aquariums because you like saltwater fish and the look of it. And I definitely do. But one of the reasons that it really appealed to me is learning how to control an environment, like just all the technology and stuff. And most people would think you're nuts, that's why you'd get into that. But the engineering, like the actual, like a lot of the stuff that stress people out of like killing it all and killing your coral, if you don't really enjoy like trying to figure out all the variables, then it's probably not a long-term hobby, you know, in some ways. And so I think it's that way with games too. I think there are some gamers that are more prone to be system thinkers, and they enjoy games that require that kind of thinking, where there are some that enjoy other aspects, like different aspects of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. Could be wrong.
Oh, I don't think so. You couldn't be wrong, Palmer.
And this is why we have you on the show, Dan.
I knew there was a reason.
Bill says, I prefer Alpha Strike over Classic BattleTech. And it's funny because like I have not played Alpha Strike, but when I did try BattleTech, I was like certain I wanted to play Classic because it was for the reason of like the system crunchiness. Like that is what kind of appealed to me. But then like, you know, like Wormit says exactly, Bill. So he likes the Alpha Strike better. And there's a reason why they went and did Alpha Strike, because it appeals to a large number of people.
Yeah, right.
And Rusty remains silent on this issue.
It's like comparing a board game versus shoots and ladders.
It's a board game versus shoots and ladders, or like Risk versus shoots and ladders.
Yes.
I had so much fun playing shoots and ladders in my life, just so you know.
Well, I had kids too, so
didn't they call it snakes? There was a time they called it snakes and ladders. I think that was the original thing, wasn't it? Or maybe it was in Canada. When I was a kid, it was shoots and ladders, but somebody told me it was called snakes and ladders at one point.
Maybe.
I can't tell either way.
Too creepy, right?
Less crunchy means I can get more games in with less time with more casual players. Who are these casual players you speak of, though? You were saying you were having trouble finding them.
They're all in their mom's basement.
You can't do that, so that's why no one comes over. I know I do struggle with the time lapse and knowing what we're talking about at times.
Well,
But,
you got to keep up.
I know. Well, and the fact that I'm on my whiskey chaser after the beer doesn't help matters. Z-Side Lifer, Zombicide, yeah. I like Zombicide. Zombicide's, I mean, obviously, it's such a successful game, and they've come up with so many versions of it. Like
I've never played.
It's a fun game. No, it's very good. I actually, like I still play with my family the original Black Plague, and then I have an expansion, and then I got Massive Darkness, and we played it a bit, but I actually went all in on the first Massive Darkness with expansions and the Kickstarter and everything. But I just I actually bought somebody else's Kickstarter. I very rarely did a Kickstarter myself, but I just the original Zombicide Black Plague, it's simple but it's fun. Like it is designed to be a fun game and to play with the family, and like we've played it for years.
Yeah, I know. I've heard you bring it up.
The family activity.
What is this family gaming you speak of?
Wow. What is this thing called family?
It's like our family gaming is playing. What the heck is it called? Seven Wonders.
Yeah, I played that.
Yeah, my wife and my daughter love Seven Wonders, so that's the game they prefer playing. My son, he likes other games and tries to get them to play. My wife is like, but it's not like Seven Wonders. I don't like it.
My wife will play anything that can be done in half an hour.
Yeah.
So that limits anything we do gaming wise.
Down to hardly anything.
Yeah. Like
Bill
she'll play Carcassonne or something like that. That's
that can go pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. It's just fun.
Looks like I'm just looking down the comments. Looks like Bill had to go. Thanks for joining in, Bill.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Bill.
One of the things he said, a couple things. He said to me, Bill says, to me, it boils down to time management. I no longer have the time to dive into crunchy games. Well, that's fair.
That's true. It's like a lot of those games you have to dedicate half a day to be able to play.
Well, in some of the crunchier games, you have to play more often, I think, or you
lose it.
You lose it. Like Palmer was talking about Infinity,
Well, yeah,
like
and
that.
I don't know, nothing for nothing. Like Rusty may disagree, but I actually find even Warhammer Fantasy Battles, like there's a lot of special rules in Old World.
I agree.
And now there's a lot of special rules in it that used to be not in the game. But
yeah. Even when I played 6, though, I found that I was then like looking up different things instead of special rules. I was looking up different things. I find that it's still involved. I mean, like if you're not playing it, like it's not a game that I can just play once every 6 months and really know what's going on. Like, but I don't mean know what's going on in the general sense. Like I know how to move and wheel, and I know the phases of the game, and I know that. But I'm just saying, like when you charge, like, some of the special rules, or when like I'll give you an example in 6th edition.
Nuances of the game.
Yeah. Psychology and how it relates to a particular problem in the game, or something that comes up even in 6th edition. If I'm not playing it regularly, then it's, like it requires a lot more time and becomes a long day, of gaming. And so it's fair. Having said that, I like those games though. Yeah. Like I do like those games.
Yeah, it's like when we played our game between the two of us, where you finally broke one of my units and it disintegrated, and you were able to just turn around and charge again. And that was something that was brought up in, I think, 4th edition rules. Mm-hmm. That used to be part of the 4th edition.
Okay. So they brought it back, you think?
Yeah, I think they brought it back.
Yeah. I don't even remember which one you're talking about, but is it overrunning?
Yeah.
Okay, the overrun.
Yeah, you were overrunning a unit that just crumbled and disappeared when you were sitting and locked in combat for 3 turns, moving nowhere.
Yeah.
And it was like, how do you charge again after just, it was like the impetus of charge was gone.
Well, and actually, yeah, we'd have to go back and look at it. I don't think you're supposed to overrun when you've
been in a
in combat. So we'd have to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we did that wrong. I'm not sure,
Maybe
because I
cheated.
think overrunning is usually. But there is.
He really wanted his. Was it Minotaurs? I think it was Minotaurs really get into another combat before they got shot off the table again.
I think I was testing the social contract, because Rusty and I do go back online at least for a long time. So I think I was just pushing the envelope.
The
of
limits
social
of that social contract. Yeah.
Perhaps, but he still beat me pretty badly in that game, so I don't really feel bad.
Well, no matter what, you could have beat my army. I still won because I just raised your dead livestock back and turn them into more.
All right. Warm, it's like more OPR soon.
One-page rules.
One-page rules, yeah. Then Frostgrave on the horizon. Cool. Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, Frostgrave is a very fun game system, and it's very simple. And it has part of that role-playing aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard one-page rules is really crunchy.
Are you talking about the beer and pretzels? Like,
that one-page rules are
chips.
very beer and pretzel.
The crunchy chips.
Oh, you can have pretzels, but no beer because you got to focus.
Yeah.
You know, whatever floats people's boat.
No,
like, that's
100%.
kind of what it comes down to. There, you know, even like Dragon Rampant, which actually I don't consider to be like there. The first time I played Dragon Rampant, even though it's not a difficult system, it's a different kind of way of thinking for that system. And I think it's a great system, like the original fantasy one in particular.
Yeah, some people
or the original,
like it, some hate it.
Well, you know, there's an appeal to miniature esoteric games. Like miniature esoteric games where you can bring and play whatever you like to the table, and it's not supported by a company that has like hired game designers just to do that or whatever. I mean, there is an appeal for that, but at the same time, it doesn't. In my experience, they don't fill everybody's niche all the time. You know, like I do find sometimes, and it's funny because like I suppose theoretically, you should be able to make a game where the rules stand on their own. Mm-hmm. And even whether people bring their own miniatures or not, it should be a good game. And there are many historical games, like as an example, historical games are usually miniature esoteric in that you could bring any kind of, you know, like if it's a World War II game, then you should be able to bring any kind of World War II miniature in most cases. It doesn't have to be one particular miniature line. But having said that, games that, and I don't know how to best describe it, but there is sometimes the rule systems that are both miniature esoteric and simplified. They're not always crunchy enough for everyone. Sometimes, I guess, in my experience, it just depends on what you like.
We tried playing. You know, we spent about a month trying to play the Dragon Rampant, and I think I broke it, but it came down to the game. We just could never. It was never successfully finished a game.
Oh,
because everybody was always avoiding trying to be charged, it was. We started finding ourselves not really having fun playing it.
Well, yeah, that's fair. I usually liked it. I did find that there was, and I think they've come out with a second edition. And I don't know if they've addressed that with the Lion Rampant, and I expect that that's going to translate to a Dragon Rampant second edition, which I would buy to have in the collection because I like the first. But I found armies that were more specialist, elite armies, that technically cost the same amount of points, like, you know, as the non-elite armies that focused on more non-elite units. They tended to just always be better. And so because it's fairly free and how you can build your army in many cases, from what I remember, you actually you weren't really restricted in like how many elite groups you could bring. It was just based on like
Points.
strength points, like unit strength,
Yeah.
like or whatever, like that you did it. And so that was my experience. But I like that that part of the game where like at any point you turn your activation over to your opponent and lose the rest of your turn, and so you had to be really careful in where what you chose to move, because you might actually not get a chance if you actually, depending on what you rolled, like to finish your activations. And I found that uncertainty, that created some good strategy, you know what I mean, as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. I actually like the game. I do like the game. I think it has a place, the system. Every game could improve, and maybe some of the stuff that you guys encountered, maybe in the next edition, they may have changed a little bit. I don't know. Smitty says, I favor the games with storyline / RPG feel. Bold action is thematic. M&T has the flavor you're talking about.
Muskets and tomahawks, yeah.
Yeah, NAM 68 has an RPG feel where you can have side quests like M&T. Yeah, that's very cool. I haven't played a lot of the second edition or any at all. I've read through it. I own the second edition of M&T. I've only really played first, but I'm actually looking at doing some M&T second edition, both with the French Indian War and Shotgun Bayonet, most likely. I do like that system.
Mark and I have played maybe 4 or 5 games of first edition, and then we both bought the second edition rules, and we've never played that yet.
Muskets and tomahawks.
Muskets and tomahawks, yeah.
They actually they moved to a system where you can influence your opponent's cards, and you hold your cards in your hand. It's a little bit different than the first one, where there's just decks on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's actually very cool. I've always made it very public that not that it's that controversial, just my dumb opinion, but I do really like the Sharp Practice 2, that game. I actually like both of them for different reasons, but I gravitated a little bit more to Sharp Practice 2 because I just sort of liked the officer command and control on a bigger level. It kind of appealed to me. But having said that, some of the narrative feel of M&T, you just don't capture the same way. It's just a very fast-paced, unpredictable mess of battle in M&T that happens that you just don't capture exactly the same.
Because Muskets and Tomahawks is more of a skirmish game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In Musket, if you're the leader in Musket and Tomahawks, it's just like watching what's
Paint
the
dry?
movie? No, not at all. The opposite. It's like watching Last of the Mohicans. It's like in the end scenes, like where they're running through and there's just like constant crazy stuff happening. Whereas in Sharp Practice, it's like looking down the line and seeing like your new recruits starting to sweat, as like bullets are flying by their head and like wondering how long before like your line's gonna break.
Yeah,
and it's just like a totally different. It's like a slow, deliberate, like it's like larger masses and like just basically trying to hold things together, and it's a different type of battle.
Did you finish Primeval?
I did.
Primal?
Yeah, the Netflix show.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
it's only 6 episodes, so it went pretty fast. But yeah, that's what you envision is just like 30 seconds of terror of just destruction. Like
yeah,
a million ways to die in the West.
Absolutely. No, that's the same kind of feel that I was kind of saying, like with M&T. Yeah, no, it captures that, like the brutalness of it, and then also the morale table is just. I love how they did the morale table in M&T, but it's brutal. Yeah, that morale table though, like how like you depending on the unit type you are, how you're likely to run or not and stuff. It's pretty brutal. Mark says, excited to get Dan in the jungles and rice paddies.
Yeah,
so you guys are going to play NAM or?
Yeah, that NAM 68 game, and I think Smitty can straighten me out, but I think it was a Plastic Soldier PSC. I thought released it. But anyway, it's been in the works for like years, literally, and then it's been he's been following it. He's really into some of his
Cool.
gaming he did before I met him was with 20 millimeter Vietnam stuff. So he's got to paint a few things up, but he's got basically what we need. He's adding a little bit of terrain, and this will be the first time I'll play a miniature game where I didn't paint the minis. I didn't do the terrain, and he's got the rules. And
but it's through days.
Yeah, you run a campaign like we started just remotely rolling up my different sections and stuff, and how much they got of their tour left, and so that's gonna be fun. He's been excited about that for a couple of years, so that'll be fun. I'm hoping he's ready to do that sometime. Well, for sure this calendar year, I'm sure. So,
well, I have to say that that's karma for you, Dan, because normally like you spend so much time on a terrain table and like you like do all this stuff, spend years on projects, and you're like sitting there like, I'm going down to a game I've done nothing for, and I just get to enjoy it. And it's
almost weird. He's gonna teach it to me. I don't even have the rules.
The world is smiling down on you, like So,
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And NAM's something that's always been interesting to me, but I've never been interested or never been tempted to game it. I shouldn't say interested, but not. So that'll be fun. Looking forward to it.
Bill said, because he's gone now, isn't Chutes and Ladders a war game? Well, I'll tell you what, some of the most warlike games I've ever played in my life were when I was like, in grade school playing board games.
Yeah. I remember playing Risk in grade school with my brothers over like Christmas break and stuff. That got intense.
Yeah. Well, we still have another topic to do, and I know we've only got 15 minutes. We got a few more comments here, but I guess the question is, Dan, do you think we can do that topic in 15 minutes?
We can do it another time.
We'll do it another time.
We're usually trying to think of topics anyway, so that'll give us one for next time. Or
that sounds good.
Now doesn't matter.
Well, and I think that, we actually kind of went into some side topics like we normally do, like crunchy versus non-crunchy games, and I think it's just come through our dialogue, and in the comments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Wormwood says, "Wow, Guild Ball starter set for $22. Never played it, but I heard the game will return soon." Is that true? Is Guild Ball?
That'd be interesting.
Returning?
I played Guild Ball, and I've
not heard that, but sure could be. Huh?
I never played it, but didn't it? Am I correct to say that it kind of came out during a time when Blood Ball wasn't there?
Yeah, it was out before Blood Ball, and then as soon as Blood Ball came out,
not before Blood Ball, but before Blood Ball 2.
Yeah.
So it was like in between Blood Bowl 1 and 2, kind of.
It's kind of one of those things where people were playing Guild Ball, and then I think Games Workshop realized that, hey, we could bring out Blood Bowl and just knock this off the table.
Yeah, because there was also like Dread Bowl or something. Like there was another kind of...
That was Mantic's.
Speaking of Mantic, I wonder how their Kings of War's doing now that Old World's been out a year.
I just saw a video by a games. You guys know Guerrilla Miniature Games, right?
Yeah,
like the Guerrilla Miniature Games. Great channel. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, Ash, the Canadian, Canadian. He was part of Mini Wargaming at one point. He has a couple guys, in particular one guy that comes on his show that has run a game store for many years, and they have their own channel that comes up on my feed, and they just did this discussion about like where Kings of War is at, like based on somebody asking in like what's happened in my game now that Old World's here and this and that, and like they basically said that like it's suffering greatly. They don't really pull any punches. Like they basically said like there may be, Toronto is one of those cities where it's not like a reflection of what's going on worldwide, but it is like, a city with millions of people. And
Yeah, it's a
so
big city. Yeah.
it is like a microcosm, in some
Mm-hmm.
cases. And they had said that there's nothing really that significant going on with it, like at this point.
That's a shame.
It's funny though, they as somebody that's into Old World, they initially all their predictions on Old World were sort of negative. They felt that it was just really going to be potentially a specialist game that was just the flavor of the day, and they didn't really expect it to do very well. And they literally came out with a video, a number of videos. They kind of said like we would like it to succeed, like we really love Warhammer Fantasy in the Old World, but we really don't think, like this is, they didn't have like humongous hopes for it. Just this last week, they released a video that was like, "We apologize." Like that was like the title of the video. Huh?
Oh wow!
What's they didn't think it would probably have legs to last long enough.
They looked at it objectively, like they were looking at it objectively, and then when they were looking at it objectively, ultimately they saw some of the releases like Dwarves and some of the particular things that were happening recently selling out, and they've changed their minds. They said, actually, this looks like it's going to not only stay but likely be, one of the games. And so like, and they were like, and we're glad, like, like we always wanted it to succeed, but as business people, you look at it differently than you do just as a hobbyist. Like, you don't want to keep stuff on your shelves that aren't going to sell, like, and stuff like inventory is incredibly important for folks that are in the business. And so that was interesting. Somebody just mentioned that Primeval was great. I thought it was cool too. Okay, more acronyms. It's being sold by
Plastic Soldier
Company.
He's talking about NOM 68. It is being sold by PSC. I thought Plastic Soldier Company.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You're a platoon leader running a platoon tour of duty. Monopoly is a war game and a hardcore skirmish game.
I've seen pieces thrown anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
A missile fire.
Hopefully no cans of Coke going at people's heads. Monopoly is like, no, Boardwalk is mine. I don't care. I don't care how many hotels you want to sell me. So Dreadball is definitely making a return. Okay. And Kings of War Champions. I'm not sure.
Because Kings of War did such a different thing than what Warhammer Fantasy does, and I still am intrigued with the game.
The diorama style.
Yeah, the diorama style, and it doesn't have the figure removal, so that's kind of cool. It's easier to deal with, and you can, like you say, you can make the dioramas, and the rules are super clean. There's less. You don't have the endless list of spells, and it would be a good tournament game compared to like the Old World, of course. Of course, they tried to create their own lore and all that stuff, which isn't interesting to me. But the game itself seems. I was so tempted multiple times. I even have 2 of the different edition rule books on the shelf behind me.
Cool. I mean, and they also had the. I noticed within the YouTube community. That Kings of War really drew in the historical folks at one point by doing the historical Kings of War.
Just curious.
Was it historical first or fantasy first?
I've got the historical up here too. I think it was fantasy first.
Yeah.
But because it was interesting, that's an interesting thought, experiment, like the timing of. Because that Kings of War was out, wasn't it out when Warhammer Fantasy was still in its 8th edition?
I'm not sure.
I thought there was some overlap, but then when that went away, then obvious.
Yeah.
I even think it was out for a few years even, and then
because
and then when everybody's like, what's the other big rank and flank type game? Well, then they jumped on board, and that's when they started creating more books and expansions and really upping their miniature lines and and it really got legs then. But you wondered if it was just a filler for people till they, or if there was enough bitter feelings that they wouldn't go back to G. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Or it developed its own community. You thought maybe, and it will survive, I suspect. But it's kind of a bummer to see that it has to be one or the other, maybe.
Well, and Saga kind of went through that a little bit too. It's not rank and flank, but a lot of people went over to Saga as well, like to play that, just because it was like not science fiction. It was sort of like just a skirmish game, but like it was had a bit of a uptake.
And it's a very different mechanics than a lot of your other games, and that's probably was appealing to. It's kind of new age.
Yeah, we used to have people playing the Kings of War all the time up at the shops.
Mm-hmm.
And when Old World came out, I haven't seen a game of it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's sad to me, really. I mean, I know there's only so much space, maybe, and maybe once this isn't quite the new thing, and all the armies come out, GW has a way though of always keeping people hanging on to something coming, though. But
yeah,
I'm even waiting for some of the Bretonnian stuff to come back in stock. I mean, you can't even get that stuff.
Oh, really? Like from GW right now?
Yeah.
Huh. They have a ton of it at my local game shop, actually.
Well, some of the stuff that is always in stock, but there's a bunch of like the Squires and the Questing Knights and a couple of miniature, just the individual knights, foot knights. Yeah. Anyway.
We got Clyde saying the diorama multi-basing thing is what drew me to Kings of War.
It is
I can
gorgeous.
imagine that.
Because they had Kings of War at that bolt action tournament I used to go to. So on break, I'd walk through the room where they were doing that, and it was fantastic. Just gorgeous what people would do.
Yeah, I could definitely see people liking that.
Yeah,
and it's go ahead, Rusty.
I say, it was the nice thing about it was that you're able to put a nice little display in the middle of your unit because its unit is based on.
It's just the footprint. That's all that mattered. Didn't even matter how many models were on it, and the rules were solid. So I mean, it wasn't just that. It was still is a solid game. From watching, I've watched tons of videos. I've read the rules. It's cool.
Well, even though Old World doesn't incorporate base fillers as a official thing, people do base fillers all the time.
Yeah, I have some for my.
For that reason,
players. Yeah,
are you doing the giant? Like there's some folks.
Oh, I've seen that one.
Bretonnium giants. Yeah, the guy sculpting it. I think his last name's Stanley. He's a sculptor. I subscribe to his channel, but he's done some he's selling them now too. He's done these giant Bretonnian guys that are basically unit fillers that you put in your units.
I love unit fillers, and I think it looks cool. I've seen some people do some really neat Bretonnian unit fillers.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's like an unofficial thing. It's not even in the rules, but people do it there. Warman says Ronnie Mantic Games released a video a couple weeks ago of what to expect in 2025, and Kings of War Champions and Dreadball are coming back. That's good for them.
Oh, that's good news. Yeah, I'll have to do a little looking. I lost track of where Kings of War was when Old World came out.
Yeah. To chibi or not to chibi? I'm looking at the old Arcadia Quest game and all their billions of expansions. Oof. Yeah, I've heard of that game. It's funny. I actually bought the Marvel. There's a Marvel game that had chibi miniatures. Like it was like a little board game that you played, but I bought it to paint comic style, and I actually gave it away to a friend who had like a young son that would just play it like as a board game because I just never got around to it. I don't know, it's a whole nother thing, but like my room is just caving in on me, my hobby room. Like I've got so much stuff and like so much stuff that I'm not even doing anything with that I'm actually starting to clear out. Like I actually sold something recently. I haven't sold miniatures.
Oh, the horror.
The horror, yeah. Rusty probably remembers this, but like a while back, I actually sold like a Malifaux troop that I painted. And I actually asked Rusty for some advice just because I hadn't sold a lot of painted stuff before that I'd painted. And I was like, I don't know how to price this. But I had some unpainted stuff that I never sold and some card decks that I hardly ever used. And so I actually got rid of those on Facebook recently. I actually I gave away like a Dungeons to my daughter. I'm giving away like a Dungeons and Dragons. It's a red box 5th edition starter set that came out. And I never used it. Like at one point I bought it just to do something with my kids. I never did. She's up at college and is interested in it. I just I'm giving it to her. And then I'm looking at selling a whole bunch of Marvel Knight models that I had painted, and even the painted ones I'm considering selling too.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just trying to clear out a bit. There's just stuff that I'm not. It's a whole nother topic, but there's just stuff that I've spread out more than you, Dan, over the years. Like you actually are fairly concentrated in your, like you're starting to spread out too, but like with the amount of stuff you're doing, but you're not. But like Rusty is,
yeah, I'm not to Rusty's level.
Rusty is spread out, contracted, spread out, and spread out, and contracted.
Because every once in a while you just have to do a purge and say, am I ever going to play this game again? It's time to get rid of it.
Yeah,
I'm the eternal optimist. I always think I'm going to play them all, paint them all.
Well, I've thought about my Savage Core stuff, like my and I have other stuff too, and yeah, I don't know. That's a whole nother video.
Yeah, it is. Discussion. You're right. Yep.
Like I'll never
say never.
Yeah, but for the most part, I don't see myself selling my French Indian War stuff ever.
Oh yeah.
And I don't, and I don't really see me selling like a lot of my Warhammer Fantasy, like my Beastman and things like that.
Yeah.
But, a lot of the other stuff's kind of up for grabs. I mean, like over time, I don't think I'd actually sell like my Rogue Trader, GW stuff, like all my old GW stuff, like that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I guess my World War II stuff, I don't plan on selling it, but if I went long enough where I didn't use it, like I'm planning on playing the 3rd edition for Bolt Action. But if I ever, and I've got Germans to paint, things like that. But if I'm not going to use, there's only so much stuff I'm going to be like wed to. I have to be. I just don't have. The problem is that I just don't have enough room in my, to hold
That's
on to all
the
this
thing
stuff.
is eventually there's only so many containers you can put it in.
Yeah, like. I have bags and bags of HeroClix from when I played HeroClix with my kids, and I've got to get rid of them off my shelf and my kids, my oldest is just going to kill me if I get rid of them. So I'm thinking of just giving them to her to get them out.
That's what I was going to say. Give them to her then.
Yeah, and then I've got you could probably, I don't know if you can see it here because it's right this shelf. I don't know. I'm pointing at the screen as if you can see it, but I have a shelf right.
The glass one or the
here, where I'm pointing with my finger right there. I see. And there's all this. I have all this Star Wars Armada stuff that's in a whole Imperial army in the boxes unopened because I played Rebels. But then when somebody got out of it, because I love the game, I was like, I'm just going to get the other side, and I'm not going to sell that thing because I really like Star Wars Armada.
That's something I'm thinking about doing is getting rid of all my Star X-Wing.
Oh, X-Wing, okay.
Yeah, because I got a ton of that stuff, and I haven't played it in 7 years, 8 years.
Well, if you're going to get rid of X-Wing, let's talk about that because I actually have retained my X-Wing, and I do like that game. I'd actually talk to you about that. We might be able to do a deal.
Make a deal.
Because I got some stuff that's still in the boxes.
Yeah.
Because the game collapsed and went to, well, it didn't really collapse. It went to 2nd edition. I didn't feel like spending $300-$400 to upgrade it to the new edition.
Right. Yeah, no, if you're thinking about getting rid of it, I'd talk to you about that. That's the thing is I really like the X-Wing and Armada stuff. I think it's a cool game. But if you're actually not looking into keeping that stuff, I actually sometimes when I'm at the store locally, I'll look and they'll have they still have Armada stuff, but their X-Wing stuff is pared down to almost nothing. And I'll occasionally look at it just to see if there's something there. But unfortunately, my local game store doesn't really discount things that don't sell. Like they just keep them forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They don't usually discount stuff.
That's something that our local shop, they purged all the Star Wars, all the Star Trek minis, from that game system. They got rid of everything. Armada is all gone, and all the War Machine stuff, that's all gone.
Did you know that they just put out one of my buddies told me they just did a 32-page update to Armada that they just released.
Really?
Yeah, and the funny thing is they're not doing anything with the miniatures. So I don't know if he thought it had to do with just updating the cards and the balance, but I thought that was interesting because.
Speaking of news, you seen that Burrows and Badgers 2nd edition is coming out?
I didn't.
I saw one little snippet on that, and I didn't even know if that was real.
That's
late April. Yeah, it's 2nd edition.
What do you know about any changes?
No, I don't know anything. All I seen was that the new edition is coming out in April, right after Salute, I think it is.
Yeah, that could be.
And that's interesting. That's talking about like that topic we didn't get to tonight, smaller companies and stuff. That would be a good example.
Yeah. Yep.
You always want to support those small companies, but because I never got into it, like I thought about actually finishing my miniatures for that, but I never really did. And the question is would I ever immediately jump and buy a 2nd edition of something I never played the first that I owned? You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough decision. I think I'd probably check out the first that I own and play some games before I get into the second. But I think it's deserving of it because there's a community around it that definitely supports it. And in all fairness, like anything else, they need to update at times to just try to improve it.
I can see myself picking up the rule book just
rule book. It won't be that expensive, and
that's probably true.
You're not buying a big starter set or something.
That's fair. Marvel United is the game I was talking about. Warmud corrected me on that. Most of the time I buy these board game minis, but we'll use the minis for agnostic games. It's really a cheap way to get minis. Totally agree with you. And the fact that you do so much Zombicide, they have some of the best minis. Simon does amazing stuff that you can use in like RPG games and stuff. Because, for example, I want some steampunk minis. Well, I bought the game Rise of the Moloch, the World of Smog board game. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Mel says X-Wing is being discontinued. That's what I'd heard. I heard Armada is too, actually, even though the 32-page update, I thought it was being discontinued. Man, if you're a big Song of Ice and Fire player, Noble Knight blowing that product out. Tons of it on sale, cheap. We'll have to let Tim know. I know that Tim plays it a bit, but I'm not sure.
I think he said he was finishing up.
He's getting a little disillusioned.
Last unit or something.
Yeah. My wife and I are looking at doing the whole Game of Thrones series again, watching it again. We only watched it once. That's interesting.
Hey, Josh,
thank you again for another musty chat today, guys. I'm looking forward to the next one. Absolutely, Josh. Thanks for stopping down. We always appreciate your comments and insight. I know he went quiet when we started talking about his Infinity adventure and throwing his D20s across the room.
He's probably locking up a little bit. Does not compute.
I can't picture him getting mad and throwing dice across the room. He seems like such a calm person. So could you? No, I think if he did that, you'd probably be like startled because it would be like so.
Oh, I know. I would expect some swearing, but that's about it.
No, but the fact that he threw like the dice across the room,
he wouldn't throw. No, that would.
Yeah. That's a funny image to think of, but
I can't even picture it.
Well,
yeah, he'd be fun to play against because he'd be on my page. We're just having a good time.
Yeah. Time to relax and throw some dice. Not throw the dice, throw some dice.
Throw some dice, not at your opponent, but just
chill. That's funny.
How many times do you think the ER has actually had to do a specific surgery of removing a D20 from an orbit in the eye?
Or
on X-ray, the 20 is on the inside going towards the brain. It's truly, I rolled a 20 through his head.
Through his head.
It's on X-ray. It's proof.
Hold still. We'll get the pliers and pull that D4 out of his forehead.
Get a picture first so you can prove how it landed.
Yeah. Anyways,
Play on. Yeah.
I've chased twice with the whiskey since the beer. And yeah, we're getting towards the end of the night there. People are starting to roll out.
Yeah. It's our 2 hour. That went fast, huh?
Yeah.
We're about halfway through the season, I would say. What do you think?
We still got till June, so what? 4 months?
And that's not including our summer special months, like
Yeah.
we typically
once a
will do
month or whatever.
Yeah, because we're kind of I think we're still doing going through the summers just once a month. But yeah, we're at episode 9 going into episode 10. We usually do around 17 in that area, 17, 18. And so we're about the halfway point. So it's good, another good show.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thanks for all of our friends and experts for coming down and keeping us in line.
Nice, cool to see
I'll
Mark
just
stop by.
do an update here. Jesse sent me a message. He's assembled 72 orcs, I think it is, tonight.
Wow. Was he watching the show?
Yeah.
Nice. That's great. Good for him. What kind of? So are they orcs with a K or an orcs with a C?
C.
Orcs.
Or are they Urukai?
Well, they're Mordor orcs.
Oh, Mordor.
Yeah, I forgot you were launching on the old or the Middle Earth.
Yeah. They're orcs with a C, but they're Mordor. Out of curiosity, how are they selling those lately? Like, is it with the starter set, or is it like, can you still just buy them?
Get a battle host box.
Yeah, the battle host is a good buy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got the latest, newest edition for the starter set, which gets you the book and all that stuff, which has Riders of Rohan and the
Dunley, Wildman and Westman.
Yeah. So you got that, and then you can turn around and buy like Urukai from Isengard. You can buy the Morannon orcs from Mordor, or the Mordor orcs, or you can buy the Moria goblins, or you can buy.
And they come just in a box of like, is it 30 or?
Yeah, you get about 30 miniatures. Typically, you get 1 leader. You get like 24 warriors, and maybe
you're talking about the battle host sets.
Yeah, the battle host sets.
Yeah, because the battle host set has a bunch of things, but you can also just buy just like the Mordor orcs in a box that has, I forget if it's 24 or something.
Yes,
that's usually more than enough, right? Like most of your games, your initial games that you play are not like 30 aside, right?
Yeah,
some of them are. Depends how expensive.
Depends on points you want to play,
and how many points. Like goblins are dirt cheap, so you have a bunch of them. But like
so if you're playing let's say 1,000-point game, you're going to have probably 40 miniatures on. Yeah,
I would say 30 to 40. Maybe less.
Because the typical, let's say, an orc will run you from 5 to 8 points apiece.
Yeah.
So you can throw a bunch of them. It's your heroes that are kind of spendy. So if you take the Witch King, I have the Witch King, so he's a bit spendy. If you got like Gandalf or Saruman or whoever it may be, whatever the big hero types,
a ring wraith or something,
then you're spending money. You could have a Balrog on the table. I don't know, geez.
That'll take a lot of the little guys away.
How many points? How many points are you guys trying to play?
No, they've been doing 700.
Okay, because back in the older editions, back when I knew what was going on, it was like 500 was the standard.
500. Bigger games, 700. It gives you about 2-hour game.
Yeah,
I think Clyde's had a couple musty drinks tonight. Either he's looking at our shoes.
Maybe it's a little bit of an accent.
Really good shoe. Welcome to the shoe tonight.
And so Mark's like, "Take care, guys. Great show as usual." And also the War of the Rohirrim.
Yeah, that's the new starter set that has.
Yeah, that's what
Rusty's talking about. Yeah, that's a good buy too. You can get it for like, I've seen it for like 178. Is that right? That's Sullivan. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it starts 107. I think I picked it up off eBay, and I think it was like 145, 150, something.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, that's all. It's just like 150 US, so maybe like 185 Canadian just to get in. That's nothing.
It's just money.
So, but you get terrain, you get basically you get 2 battle hosts and
the hardcover rule
book.
book and some little terrain.
Hardcover. That's good to mention.
Yeah.
And one thing I still need to get, I have to get the Armies of Middle Earth book.
Oh yeah, and have you heard? I'm just following it slightly, but they're talking about they changed how you can build, what forces are legal, and it's like, you can't build like some people are like, well, now my army isn't even playable, or they basically make you pick this, or this, and that's it. And I don't know, is that right? Do you know?
Yeah, there's certain things that are certain armies you can only do certain things, so it kind of nuded them down a bit, I guess.
Oh, but I was gonna say he just put that on the screen. That Battle of Osgiliath, that's still an awesome set. It has the older rules in it, but with the terrain and the miniatures, it's still a good buy.
Yeah,
that's the we should probably do a separate show, kind of like we did with the Bolt Action 3rd edition show. But one of the reasons why, because I really enjoyed the couple of games I played of Middle-earth with my friends' miniatures. One of the reasons why I never got into it was not to get into another game. But then besides that, the other reason, the justification reason, was I felt like this game's gone on long enough, and there was so many miniatures that people had that I couldn't get. Like that basically, like, I felt like for me coming in, I had to be like just Rohan, or like, but that, like, if I wanted to be an Uruk-hai force, it was harder to do that. But like, what percentage of like the miniatures that you can use to play the game, and I don't even mean like getting an old metal sculpt like of a particular version, I mean like even if it's just getting the plastic one now, like what percentage of the range do you have access to?
All of it.
Really?
Depends on, it's the same thing as a lot of these were Forge World models.
Were they? Well, that would put me out right off the bat.
So like, they only release them at certain times.
No, but if you go on their site now, a big portion of them you can buy now. I was just looking at it a couple of weeks ago.
So every faction you can pretty much
every
play.
faction you can play. Rusty's right. There's a few individual miniatures, but a lot of them they've even redone them in plastic and stuff, that now you can get them. It's all GW pricing though. I mean, it's 10 spendy, but you're not locked out of anything because they're all supporting it.
So Warmutt's telling us that he's really serious. He actually has to leave right now. He's not kidding. And take care, guys. I'll see you later.
He's trying to say we got to end the show.
Yeah, we got to go. I got to get to bed too.
Like, I'm not kidding anymore, man. I'm
really seriously though.
Anyways.
But yeah, it's one of those things
we should talk about it on another show, because
we can make that a topic. We'll discuss it.
We should talk about that, because I actually think it's I love the genre.
I've actually been buying some of the older source books off of eBay the last couple of weeks because I want to go. I'm like you, Palmer. Or makes me think of you when I do it. Where you started playing Warhammer Fantasy with 6th edition.
Yeah, you're going to the older
I'm buying the few source books that I didn't get back when I was going to start playing, and I'm going to play that.
Yeah, first. No, I totally get that.
And then I can go through, because I kept buying the rule books and stuff through the years, but I never did play. But back when I really started building my list was out of the old blue book from 2005, I believe.
And I know they're so like well known, I can see it. Like I know that's the one that has the ring right on
ring
the
in the middle with the bright blue.
I know what you're talking about. I never played the game, but they're that prevalent.
I was missing a couple of the source books, which I picked up. They're cheap and almost beautiful, perfect condition. So that's where I'm going to start.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. We better shut her down.
As usual. I actually got. It's taken me a while to paint to touch up the white on these guys, and actually it's a little painstaking. So I did it for a while, and then I stopped at like halfway through the show. But I probably got 6 guys done, which I've got another 11 to do, and then I'll be done with the 24, and then I'll just do the bases, and so that's good. Like it's a little bit of detail, because when you're doing these touch-ups, you don't want to mess up again, because then you're just pulling more paint out. Like, you know, like I don't want like to have to do touch-ups because of my touch-ups.
Touch up your touch-up. Yeah.
Like, yeah. And so so that was good. But it looks like Rusty showed his terrain he was working on. He's got more stuff done there. Yeah, nice.
All I gotta do is I'm gonna put some grass effects on these things, and
that's
good
beautiful.
deal.
So it doesn't take very long.
That's cool. Yeah, I've painted up another strip, got base coats on them, so
good deal.
We're flying.
All right, guys. Well,
all right.
See you guys at the next show, and thanks to everybody that came tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see you. Let's see, this is 13th. So 27th.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
Ish. Yeah.
Gosh,
all right.
It's gonna be summer soon again.
Yeah.
Oh, not yet though.
Oh, and it's only 1 degree here.
Motorcycle
so, yeah, we'll be
weather.
looking forward to warm weather. So.
Getting on my motorbike. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it. All right.
See you guys.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.